be real for a second. Nobody was talking about Lexi Hull at the start of the WNBA season. Nobody. And then, out of nowhere, boom, she became a crucial part of the Indiana Fever rotation. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing her name pop up, her game getting analyzed, and Caitlin Clark, the most talked about rookie in WNBA history, is giving her props. How did this happen? How did Lexi Hull go from a barely used bench piece to a key figure on one of the most exciting teams in the league? But before we jump into the good stuff, take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By joining our crew, you'll always be in the loop with the latest WNBA updates, expert takes, and deep dives. The Indiana Fever were not the team to watch over the past few years.
But from a basketball perspective, you looked at her and you said this girl can play defense. You looked at her and said this girl was what, the second leading in three-point percentage?
If we're being brutally honest, they were at rock bottom, losing seasons, low attendance, and barely a blip on the national radar. But 2024, different story.
Obviously, she can shoot the ball. So as a coach, you have a coach. Where are the plays to make sure that Lexi gets her shot off?
The Fever became a must-watch basketball, and the receipts prove it. The biggest shocker, sold-out arenas. For the first time in recent memory, Fever games started feeling like home games, even on the road. Packed crowds, deafening cheers, and a level of energy that hadn't been there before. Even Lexi Hull, who had seen the dark days of this franchise, couldn't believe it. She talked about how fans went from casually showing up to filling up entire stadiums, making every game feel electric. And yeah, let's not act like Caitlin Clark isn't a big reason for this sudden spike in attention. But here's the thing. Hull wasn't just standing around soaking it in. She was grinding, waiting for her moment.
I feel like the last, all 3 years, I've always worked really, really hard, and percentages don't lie.
Let's talk about something most people don't like to acknowledge. Minutes in the WNBA are ruthless to earn. This isn't college ball where a highly recruited player is automatically slotted in for big minutes. This is a 144-player league, and if you're not producing, you're sitting. Simple as that.
Well, finishing those last 2 seasons and looking at my percentages just not being where I wanted them to be or where I thought they deserved to be for how much work I was putting in. So to be able to shoot well in the second half just really meant a lot to me.
At the start of the season, Lexi Hull wasn't getting much court time. And trust me, a lot of players in her position would have gone straight to Twitter, passive-aggressively tweeting "free me" or liking shady posts about coaching decisions.
Imagine going from Christy side's coaching, where she doesn't really want to play you, and no matter what you do on the court, it doesn't matter because your coach doesn't want to play you.
But Hull? Nah. She kept her head down and trusted the process. Now let's not sugarcoat it. This wasn't easy. Imagine showing up to practice every single day, outworking everyone, staying in peak shape, and still barely touching the court on game nights. That kind of situation can break a player's spirit. But Hull, she didn't fold. Instead of pouting, she doubled down on the grind. Then came the turning point. After about 12 games of barely seeing the floor, Lexi Hull got the call. "Lexi, let's go." Boom. Opportunity unlocked. And instead of coming in hesitant, instead of playing scared, she went all in. This wasn't just about getting minutes. This was about proving she belonged. And Caitlin Clark, she noticed. Clark, the Fever's superstar rookie, publicly praised Hull for her resilience.
Obviously, Lexi's been tremendous, especially on the defensive end. She just brings a spark and a tenacity about her that, maybe we weren't always getting on the defensive end, and she's just willing to do whatever it takes for this team.
Calling her one of the hardest workers on the team.
How proud are you watching your teammates just thrive on both ends of the court?
I'm super proud of her, but I think she does a lot of things for us that don't show up in the box score too. She's all over the floor. She guards their best player all night, so I'm just really proud of her.
That's high praise coming from someone who knows a thing or two about grinding for greatness. So what did Hull do when she finally got playing time? She made damn sure nobody forgot her name. Let's break it down. What exactly does Lexi Hull bring to the table that suddenly made her so valuable? For starters, she can shoot the hell out of the basketball. She was a known scorer back in Stanford, but in the WNBA, the defensive intensity is on another level. It took time, but once she adjusted, her three-point shot became a serious weapon. Then there's her defense. A lot of players get buckets, but how many of them lock up on the other end? Hull isn't just an effort defender, she's legitimately disruptive. And when you're coming off the bench trying to prove yourself, there's no better way to earn minutes than by playing suffocating defense. Her energy, infectious. Some players disappear into the game, blending in with the action, not Hull. Every time she checks in, you feel her presence. Whether it's diving for loose balls, chasing down fast breaks, or knocking down a clutch shot, she plays like someone who knows every second on the court is a fight for survival. And guess what? It worked. She forced her way into Coach Stephanie White's rotation, and now there's no going back. Here's where things get even more interesting. Nobody expected Lexi Hull to become one of Caitlin Clark's closest friends on the team. In a season where Clark has been under insane pressure, both on and off the court, Hull stepped up in a different way. She didn't just support her as a teammate, she supported her as a person.
Didn't know what she'd be like, and just really happy she's here.
Are you guys like, how would you characterize, are you good friends?
Yeah, we're good friends. We hang out a good amount, and she's a fun person to be around.
Think about what Caitlin Clark has gone through this season. She came in with the highest expectations we've seen for a rookie in WNBA history. Every game, she's got defenders trying to humble her, fans going crazy, both good and bad, and media dissecting her every move. Most players would crack under that kind of attention. Hull saw what was happening and said, nah, I got you.
Something in your game day routine, or do you feel like you're just in a groove right now?
Kept
She's in a
things the
groove.
same.
She started hanging out with me more.
Instead of treating Clark like some superstar who's untouchable, she befriended her. Lunches, coffee runs, extra shooting sessions, just hanging out at the house. Simple things that helped Clark feel grounded in a world where she was suddenly the most famous name in women's basketball. That's not just a friendship, that's leadership. Because let's be honest, there were players in the league and even within the team who weren't thrilled about all the attention Clark was getting. Some saw her as a threat. Hull, she saw an opportunity to build something real. And here's the crazy part. When you surround yourself with winners, you elevate yourself. Lexi Hull wasn't just helping Caitlin Clark, she was learning from her. And guess what? That kind of mindset is what separates the good from the great. Let's zoom out for a second. The Indiana Fever were nobody's pick for a must-watch team a couple of years ago, but now they're suddenly a hot topic. Why? Because they're building something special. Hull's connection with Clark isn't just about two teammates vibing, it's part of a bigger shift. They've got a core group that's turning heads. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, Kelsey Mitchell, a certified bucket getter, Sophie Cunningham, another dog in the fight, Aaliyah Boston, a future superstar in the making, and Lexi Hull, the grinder who refuses to be overlooked. This isn't just about one or two players anymore. This is a movement. And Hull, she's right in the middle of it, making sure she never gets counted out again. Let's get something straight. The WNBA is not the same league it was 5 years ago. Hell, it's barely the same league it was last season. The numbers don't lie. Attendance is skyrocketing. The games are getting more viewers. And players like Caitlin Clark have shattered every rookie hype record imaginable. But here's the flip side. With more eyes come more problems. Lexi Hull knows this firsthand. She's living through the biggest transformation in WNBA history. And with that, she's watching the game change in ways that nobody could have predicted. The question is, can the league, the teams, and the players keep up? Let's talk numbers. Because when money moves, things get real. The Indiana Fever went from being a struggling franchise to selling out arenas. That's not an exaggeration. A team that barely made headlines is now playing in front of packed stadiums, home and away. Caitlin Clark is a massive part of that. But the Fever as a whole has become something bigger, a team that people care about. But here's the problem. Not everyone is handling the attention well. Lexi Hull said it best, more fans mean more chaos. On one hand, it's a dream scenario. The league has been begging for mainstream coverage, and now for the first time ever, people are obsessing over WNBA basketball. On the other hand, some of those people are acting wild. Players are dealing with everything from social media attacks to in-person heckling. It's a new level of scrutiny, and some WNBA veterans have made it very clear that they aren't thrilled about it. It's not just about growing pains anymore. It's about learning how to control the explosion before it spirals. Because let's be real, when LeBron James gets heckled, he's got a billion-dollar security team making sure it doesn't turn into a situation. When WNBA players get heckled, they're lucky if there's one security guard in the building. The league is catching up, but players like Hull are right in the middle of the storm, figuring it out as they go. The players are fighting back, literally. The WNBA Players Union just opted out of the collective bargaining agreement. That's not a small move. That's a power play. Hull and her teammates know exactly what's at stake here. More money, better treatment, real investment. For the first time ever, players have leverage. Why? Because the league needs them more than they need the league. These women are driving insane levels of engagement, and they know it. Hull talked about one of the biggest game changers, chartered flights. Yeah, that sounds basic, right? Except the WNBA just started offering them. Before this season, players were still flying commercial, dealing with flight delays, cramped seats, and random strangers harassing them at airports. You think Steph Curry is getting stopped at TSA while dragging his suitcase through security? Not a chance. Hull knows this is just the beginning of the WNBA's transformation. Higher salaries, better benefits, real investment in the league. The union is sending a message, and trust me, it's being heard loud and clear. Let's get back to Hull for a second, because while all this chaos is unfolding around her, she's staying locked in. This is a player who doesn't run to Twitter when things don't go her way. She doesn't whine about playing time or take subtle shots at her teammates online. She does what real pros do. She works. Her nutrition, dialed in. Her training, next level. Her focus, unshakable. In a league where social media distractions are at an all-time high, Hull avoids the noise and lets her game do the talking. She's earned the respect of her teammates and coaches because she trains like a starter, even when she isn't getting starter minutes. That kind of mindset is rare. That's the difference between players who fade out after a couple of years and players who stick around and build a legacy. And guess what? Hull isn't going anywhere. Here's where it gets personal. Lexi Hull isn't just playing for herself. She's setting an example. In an era where young athletes are quitting sports at alarming rates, Hull is proof that sticking with it pays off. She gets it. Not every day in basketball is fun. Some days you don't get playing time. Some days you feel like your hard work isn't paying off. Some days you want to walk away. But here's the thing. If Hull had given up, she wouldn't be here. She wouldn't have played at Stanford, wouldn't have landed in the WNBA, wouldn't have become part of one of the most exciting teams in the league. Basketball paid for her education. It gave her once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. And now she's using her platform to tell young girls, don't quit just because it gets tough. She's living proof that hard work eventually pays off if you're patient enough to see it through. So what's next for Hull and the Fever? Let's call it like it is. The Indiana Fever is about to be a problem. This isn't the same team from a couple of years ago. They've stacked talent, they've got chemistry, and most importantly, they've got momentum. Hull isn't just along for the ride, she's right in the mix. Her connection with Caitlin Clark is growing. Her role in Coach Stephanie White's system is expanding. She's cementing herself as one of those players you need in your rotation if you want to win games. And let's not forget, the Fever is hungry. They know people still doubt them. They know some fans are just here for the hype. They know the media isn't fully sold yet. But when the 2025 season tips off, they're going to make sure everybody's watching. And that's a wrap. So what do you think? Has Lexi Hull officially found her groove in the WNBA? Or do you think she still has more to prove? Can her chemistry with Caitlin Clark take the Indiana Fever to new heights? Also, how do you feel about the Fever's transformation from bottom feeders to must-watch basketball? Is this the start of a new era for the team, or is it just a flash in the pan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for all the latest WNBA updates and insights. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Catch y'all in the next one.